Hello and welcome to Wild Soul Gatherings. I'm Dr. Sandra Marie and I'll be your host for Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. I'm very grateful for all you wild souls out there who've decided to join us today. I'm really excited for our listeners to be able to meet our guests who will be joining us, and they will each be sharing their experiences, their unique gifts and insights, and we will be discussing the many different aspects of spirituality. A few of the topics will be energy healing modalities, Reiki, quantum physics, mediumship, and many more. In addition to our many guests who will be joining us on Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious, we will also be hosting a weekly show on astrology. Petys, our astrology coach, will co-host a weekly show that really takes astrology to a new level. To learn more about us, go to our website, wildsoulsgathering.com. We would love to hear from you. You can contact us via email or through our website. Our email is wildsoulsgathering@gmail.com. In the tradition of Happy Hour, cheers to some new insights, peace, revitalization, and maybe an aha moment that will positively influence your life. Well, welcome to Wild Soul Gatherings podcast. This was a new setup for us. We're very excited. We're beginning our process here, so there's a lot happening. And honestly, we probably could have made a little mini YouTube video of what we just went through to get this going.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, for sure. So, welcome, Penny. Penny, the astrology coach. I'm excited to have you here. Welcome to Wild Soul Podcast. You can find us at Wild Souls, SOLS, gathering.com. And I'm excited. I know that you just finished writing your new book, and it's out to the publisher, and it's due to come out soon.
Yes. I'm excited. My first book. And
so tell me about the book.
Sure.
I love the title.
It's called Super Simple Astrology Guide. It's just a guide for beginners, although it's 60 pages, but there's graphics, there's pictures, and it is a simple guide, just like the title states, on how to learn the basics of astrology. So when someone comes to me for a reading and they're confused and they don't know which books to go to out of the hundreds on the bookshelf, either at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, there are a lot out there.
I wrote a book that discusses how I go about looking at the signs and symbols, because that's basically what astrology is. They're signs and symbols. It's a language. You have to learn how to read that language, how to interpret. And that's what the guide discusses. It doesn't go into advanced techniques like what I do or what I have in my head, because I've been saying for a long time, all the knowledge of astrology, 29 years worth, is like PhD material, because I literally have been studying and practicing forever. So to hone it down into basic skills for the book or the guide is amazing. So it took me a while, and I worked long and hard on it, and I love it, and I hope everyone else will too. So right now, it's being edited and at the publisher. So soon, we're basing everything on astrology, and when it gets released officially, we will let you know.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm really spoiled because I've had you in my life, and I have some other people in my life who also do astrology, not in the way that you do it. You've really made it a lot different way for me to look at it. So when I was really looking at it, it sort of started making sense of some of the things that, you speak that just, it was always penny speak to me. So now it makes sense. Because the other thing I'm always fascinated is when you say it's another language, is you have told me multiple times when you interact with people, and it's like being bilingual, because I've, spoken, we both have lived internationally. People think one way and they have to really concentrate to get it out in the language they speak in. You say that when you look or you're in a situation and you're the observer, that you run it all through your astrology language, that it's literally the way that you think. So that fascinated me. The other thing I do want to share with the audience is a couple of other things. Is I know that you had some people proofread it. And we do have a person in common who's pretty knowledgeable about astrology. And he said that actually for a simple. It was very simple. He wished he had it when he started out, but he said being a seasoned astrologer, there were still things that he picked up from your book that made a difference that he was integrating in his practice. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll just say it's going to be listed on the website, Wild Souls, SOLS, Gathering.
SOULS.
Oh, yeah, I need to learn how to spell. Very good. Not like I'm walking on my soul. But who knows how it all works energetically.
Yeah, it will be listed on the website, and so you can find it on the website once we go live, and it'll also be at Amazon. It'll be an ebook, and a paper book version will come out next.
Okay, so I'm really eager to get started on our topic for this week. I also want to let people know that you also have an email that they can contact you at any time. We'll include that in the show notes.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
make sure that we have that all included. And it's pretty easy. It's Wild Soul, SOUL, astrology.
Yep, Wild Soul Astrology.
At outlook.com. So very good.
I know. I'm excited.
So I wanted to share with the listeners, because you really do a different take on how you use astrology really as an information tool to give you an ability of how things may be influenced to make a difference in your life. So we've got this big project going. You know, there's been a lot of changes with it. We're rebuilding the website. We've changed some of our domains. You know, we're creation in place. So I had bought the farm because I have wanted to build this retreat center for people to, you know, be able to reconnect with themselves, find themselves, energy work, you know, a lot of different demographics, and more to come on that. So I'd been looking for the farm for 2 years, found the property, was really excited about it, and, you know, I was sharing everything that was happening with you, and you said, let me know when I sign the papers. And you needed to know the exact time I signed the papers, because you were going to do an event reading on it. Mm-hmm. So you can talk a little bit about what an event reading was, but I have to tell you, man, you blew my socks off. This was, and you can't make this stuff up, even with the actual time it got signed. Mm-hmm. But share with the listeners a little bit about what it is, and we can sort of walk through my experience and how you used your astrology tools to help me with this new business. Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I just have to say what Sandra just talked about doesn't even begin to touch the surface of the excitement of what really happened that particular day. Yeah. But because Sandra knows that I know astrology, and everything that happens in our lives is affected by the energies of the planets where they're located in the sky, including signing of papers, documents, marriages, weddings, marriage licenses, divorces, buying houses, buying property. So her and I were working together as much as we could on when a good time would be to even, in an area of months, about buying property. And then, you know, some things you just can't control. Sandra was talking to the realtor, getting the papers. It was a lot of back and forth. We were texting and talking. This particular day, I don't even think I knew what you were doing. No.
So, you know, there was, like you said, a lot of back and forth. It was not the easiest of deals to come to fruition. So finally, everything was happening. There was the date and the time. The properties in southern Ohio in the Appalachian foothills, just absolutely gorgeous. And I am living in Florida. And I'm...
Where I am.
Right. So,
and I was walking the beach.
You were walking the beach. So I finally get contacted from the real estate person, and she's like, all the documents are ready for you to sign, and you can do this. And I'm so used to doing everything through DocuSign. I mean, literally, you could live anywhere in the world and be, you know, doing your business. But I had to sign all these papers in person. So I found a local place in the area in Florida that I'm living at, and I called them to see where they were located. They were able to meet all my needs. It was a great price. And I was all excited. So I was like, well, I'm going to do this. I think it was at 10 o'clock. So I was working that day. And so I said, you know what? I need to leave the building I'm going to take my lunch hour early. I'm the boss, so it's easy to just...
Exactly.
You know, say these things and do them. And so I got delayed because there was an incident that happened on the job that I had to deal with. So I got out of the building a little late. So then I'm driving, trying to find this place, and we all know that I'm very directionally challenged. I know my way around the city as much as I chose to learn it, but not in the area where this company was at. So literally, I'm driving up and down the road, up and down the road. I know I have to be close. The GPS is telling me I'm there, but clearly I'm not there. I'm calling and I'm talking to these people, and I finally get there to sign the paper. So I text her and I said, I'm a little bit late. I don't really know what time this is. I finally just got in here. It's just been one heck of a morning. And Penny's texting back. She goes, just text me when you actually sign the papers.
Like the minute.
Yeah, right. So she's being really specific. So, I'm trying to work.
The exact date and time and location, but I knew where she was.
Yeah. So, I'm working with these people and trying to make all of this happen. So I literally put the blue ink on the paper, and the lady's talking, and we're still doing things. And I said, I signed it at exactly this time. I think I might have actually sent a screenshot, but I had it down to the minute. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking with this lady and this and that. And the phone rings. It's Penny calling me. She's like, oh my God, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you about this. And I'm like, Penny, I'm still dealing with the lady. We're faxing. I haven't signed off. I'll let you know when I'm in the truck and driving, and I'll call you back. So now, I
hope I didn't scare you.
Well, so I was just going to say, so now I'm really curious, and you know me, I ponder everything. So I'm like, well, her, oh my God, sounded really excited. So I'm thinking this is a positive thing, but I'm just eager to hear what she has to say. It takes another 15 minutes to get out of this place, right? So I'm on the road. I give her a call as I'm driving back to work, and I say, okay, I'm in the truck. I'm really excited about what this is. You sounded, pretty emotional about it. So as you were talking, I was the one going, oh my God. You can't, you literally can't make this stuff up.
You can't make it up. Astrology is amazing. So what I want to add to the story is, let's say I told her the best time to sign was, this is hypothetical, but let's just say I said, it's 10 o'clock. You need to sign at 10 o'clock.
Which perhaps we might have had that conversation.
But I know we didn't.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why in just a second further on with my story. But I know I did not say that. However, the universe always has a plan. The universe, this is what I say. If you are on the right path, in the right energy frequency, and you're vibrating, because we are all energy and we vibrate. If you are following the correct path and the energies, then everything falls into place, and the universe always sets you up for success. So anyway, if I would have said 10 o'clock, because she had all of these distractions and the GPS didn't work and she was rerouted. And I have it in my phone, which I'm going to pull up. I'm pretty sure it was, well, here it is. 10:15. So you must have had to be there earlier.
So maybe I left at 9:30. Maybe I left at 9:30 for a 10 o'clock signing.
Yeah. So literally, though, she was only a couple minutes away. It wasn't like you had to drive an hour.
It was a 10-minute.
It was a 10-minute drive.
It should have been a 10-minute drive. That was a 45-minute drive.
Yeah. So basically, the universe set her up to sign these documents for her farm, which is to help others. It's a spiritual retreat, everything. So she couldn't possibly have signed it at 10. She signed it at 10:15. So when she told me, and I looked at the chart, the event chart for 10:15, exactly on the dot for this date and time and place. It couldn't be any better for the start of a business and this farm. And I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, no, please. I would like, because you said there were some direct hits on.
Well, so there is a point in the chart called the North Node. It's not a planet. It's a mathematical point. But it's an important point. It's where two planets cross in an elliptical, like the moon. The moon revolves around the Earth revolves around the sun. At those mathematical points where the moon intersects the Earth's orbit of the sun is called the nodes. There's a north node and a south node. So sorry, I won't get into too much detail. But the north node is your destiny. It's a fated point. It's always prominent in an important event in your life. When you meet someone, It points you in the right direction. The North Node was exactly hugging, it's called conjunct, it's conjoined, her 10th house cusp of career, public standing, where she needs to go in this world. This is her career, how she's helping the public, what the public sees. And your destiny, it just pointed to that. If it would have been a half hour earlier, it would not have been there. It would have been somewhere else. An hour later, it would have been somewhere else. It's literally at the most important, impactful point in a chart that you would want for signing these documents for your farm. That's only one.
I know there was multiple things. So when I think of the whole vision and the purpose behind it, it's not like just buying a new home. It was like literally it was about starting a new business and a new destiny and being on your path. And I was like, honestly, for me, it was just so reaffirming because there's so much involved in this. And it's, I'm putting everything out on the line for this to be successful. So it just made me realize that I'm doing the right thing. Oh, and this is I've been meant to do this for decades, but
it shows in the chart. And I'm not going to get into all the details here because people listening for the first time are like, what is she talking about? But there's just certain things you look at in a chart, and the way a horoscope or an astrology chart is set up, just like a birth chart for an event chart, there's different sectors of the chart called houses. There's 12 of them. And you can see where the planets are placed, how they're combined in geometrical angles, if it's good energy or more difficult energy you have to deal with. Basically, her chart was set up perfectly at this exact moment in time for the farm. Like, I was blown away. So when I called you, I was serious, like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, my heart was beating 100 miles an hour until I got in that truck to say, so what did you see?
I know.
And wasn't there something with one of my houses, a spirituality with this too, that played into it? I don't.
Well, there was multiple.
I know there was. It hit on so many different areas. I was like, oh my God! Like everything you added, I was like, you can't make this up.
So the 12th house is the spiritual house. It's the Pisces house. It's where you help the greater mankind. It's not just your inner spirituality. It's how you apply what you know and your spiritual knowledge to help mankind and humanity. And you have beneficial planets together hugging each other, the good luck planets in this house, which is indicative of this is what you came here to do. And the 11th house is where the sun is deposited in this particular chart. The sun is who you are. It's where you shine, what you were meant to do, along with the North Node destiny. But your sun is in the 11th house of humanity, groups. It's close to the same meaning of the spiritual house of the 12th, but the 11th is more of humanity as a whole and new groups, new people, and loving everyone as one. That's where your sun is. Then you have these beneficial planets in the 12th house that are all about, like, they could have been anywhere else in the chart, but they were in the 12th house of spirituality. And then the big good luck planet, Jupiter, which is beneficial, good luck, wherever it's deposited in a chart, tells you this is where you're going to get lucky. You're going to get beneficial guidance from the universe, from people. Well, it's in the 6th house of how you serve others, of how you work. But it's your daily work and grind and service of others. And it's in the sign of Pisces, the spiritual sign, which really is the 12th house. So you have multiple themes going on that you're getting good luck for spirituality, helping humanity. Like, literally, you couldn't, there's so many others. I could keep going on and on, but that's a brief walkthrough. Which
was interesting because even before you talked, I think I texted you or said something in the place that, it's happened. This is my mission to make this world a better place. I've always known that I've been here to serve, but I'm just switching directions and how I'll be serving people in the future. So it was just, it's exciting.
It's amazing. So I highly recommend and not only is it just run an event chart for anything, if you can plan it, honestly, like for something that's not going to be waylaid by GPS or distractions, if you can choose an event and time it properly for success, love, good health, prosperity, romance, I recommend it. And you talk to an astrologer, someone who knows that and can, I wouldn't necessarily call it prediction. It's called electional astrology, where you elect a date. It's not like elections where you vote for someone. It's not like that. You elect or you pick a certain date. That's why it's called electional astrology. And so when you talk to an astrologer who can look at the times and where the planets are and the energies, and given different dates, you can pick a time that is beneficial for you and will only improve your life and make everything that much easier. So what happened to you, honestly, the universe helped you because this is a perfect chart.
Yep. You said the way it lined up, like they were direct hits.
And I mean, the planets could be in different signs, like even, well, you know how it is in real estate, something falls through and then you have to wait another month. Then everything would be totally different. Even if it was the same time of day and the houses were the same, the planets would be in different houses.
Which is, well, actually, now that you say that, remember there were a lot of delays with this and the signing and it finally closing and all of that. So just listening to you now
because
makes
there's a Mercury retrograde, remember?
Oh, that's, yeah.
So you bypass that.
And I was getting really frustrated at one point thinking maybe this isn't really what's supposed to happen, but as you speak your words, clearly the universe was guiding me on the path so that it all happened in the way that it would be most successful. That's pretty cool. But, you're talking about the electional astrology. So, another example of that is exactly what we're doing. So that we were very, I'll use the word premeditated with. We talked about it. And I asked you, I said, we're working on this podcast. A lot of this stuff, I'll be honest with you, we've been working on for probably a good year as we're getting ready. But now as we've gotten really close, maybe perhaps not close enough, but we're just full steam ahead and we're doing this. I asked you, can you look at the chart and tell me, this is what I'm thinking. But looking at the astrology, what would be a good date to go live with the podcast? What's going to be a good date to go live with the website? What's going to be, a good date for that? And
so remember you gave me a date and I was like, oh, no, you can't, no. Remember?
Yes, I do.
Like, absolutely not. You can't do that. Yeah. Because there are some basic rules that you just tick off these couple boxes and you're good from that standpoint. If you can hone it down even better, then that's great, like with her farm. But one of the things you don't want to do when you start something that's important, like a career or a wedding, you get married, something that's going to last a lifetime, that is super important to you, especially if you're benefiting the greater good in mankind, you don't want to start on a full moon. You want to start on a new moon, and even better, a new moon solar eclipse with good energies where the planets are direct. It's a sweet spot.
It is, and it just happened to be coming up, so,
So I was like, Sandra, you can no, you got to move it ahead. No, that's absolutely not. I won't let you. I'll tie your hands. You cannot do it. So that is part of our electional astrology. So I'm also releasing my book on these same guidelines.
Yep.
It's just like the book is called, a guide, a super simple astrology guide. I'm using my own knowledge of what I have learned over the past 29 years to start a business and publish a book at the exact perfect energy in the sky. And honestly, what we're both using is very unique, and it's almost once in a lifetime energy. And we are, again,
we're
the
gifted
universe,
to be here.
We all are.
Yeah.
But the universe has guided us to this point.
Oh, that is a fact.
And that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But honestly, because we were pushed to this moment in time, but we still have a couple month period of time to actually start or deliver what we want. But still, you need electional astrology to benefit you the most, and that's what we're using. So thank you, universe.
Yep, and I'm on the path. There was a time where I would have taken your information and guidance and said, okay, and sort of tucked it into one of 10 other facts of what I was doing. But I have learned to listen and trust and know that there's truth and reality in all of this. And, a lot of that is just experience for sure. So I think the full moon thing is because you told me I was born on a full moon. So, I'm just obsessed with full moons.
Yes.
But I do remember you were like very adamant, like, no, can't do that. So.
Right. You don't want to start. The full moon is for letting go, releasing, getting rid of habits and outdated systems that no longer benefit you. You need to release and let go. Now, granted, new things do begin when you release, but the main premise of a full moon is to let go and release. And it's very emotional and energies are high. A new moon is when you begin. So the full moon you release and the new moon you begin, especially when it's super important. And again, like I said, if you're lucky enough to get a new moon with amazing energy between the planets and a solar eclipse, hello.
I know. So you've mentioned the solar eclipse thing about 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our astrology version of our podcast. So talk a little bit about what makes that solar eclipse really sweeten the deal a little bit.
For this particular solar eclipse?
Yep.
Well, first of all the planets are direct except for one, which just turned retrograde. But that's okay because the month prior to the solar eclipse was all direct action-oriented energy. All the geometrical angles between the planets were beneficial, which we can get into that in another podcast, but sextiles, trines, that's good opportunities, good angles, good energy, easy flow, beneficial, good luck. So all of these energies leading up to the solar eclipse of the new moon,
mm-hmm.
with all the planets direct.
Yep.
I mean, I could go into a lot of details.
I know this, well, and you do.
And it's also the planet of change, of new eccentric electric change. Uranus is conjunct, it's conjoined. It's like holding hands or hugging the sun and moon, the eclipse, which means now is the time to start this. Like change is imminent. Mm-hmm. And along with that, remember how I just talked about the nodes, the north node and the south node? It's always, they're opposite ends of a spectrum. They always are 180 degrees opposite. North node, south node. There's, just imagine a ball in each end. There's not really a ball, but just imagine a ball in each end with a line between it. Like you're holding a wand. One end is the north node, one end is the south node. At this moment in time, at the beginning when we're going to start this, there's a planet in the sky that is, it's 90 degrees away, which is called a square, which is a fated point. It's a destiny point, really for everyone in the universe. But this is the time that the universe is telling us, start. This is your time, destiny. This is the time for you to start whatever it is you need to start, because you have the planets giving you guidance. They're giving you a boost, a kick in the butt, but it's a good boost. It's good luck. And it's telling you right now, not in 6 months, not in a year, because this is not going to happen for a long, long time. It's your destiny. Now is the time. And that's happening along with so many other events in the sky. But literally, it couldn't have been planned at a better time.
Yeah, that's when I realized, obviously, the universe is way bigger than we are in the energy, and we're going to touch on a lot of these things in future podcasts. So two things I'll touch on is you're listening to this podcast a year from now, so there's some specificity to the event and then the one that we pre-planned. So it talks about all of that now, but even listening to it from a year from now is going to give listeners an understanding of how it all interacts, how all of these things play out in the role that they interact with. Mm-hmm. So there's benefit in all of that. The other thing that, for people like me who haven't lived my life consumed, like it's not my second language in my head at all.
Which,
but
I'll tell you in a minute.
Is people think sometimes there's demographics of folks who see the astrology as a broad stroke. So, you have these basics that are happening. It affects Penny, it affects me, it affects the world. Things are happening with things. We talked about that in another discussion we had with the age of Aquarius in the 60s and the age of Aquarius now and what we're seeing in our social political event, which is really important. But the other point I really want to make that I think is different, that you have really opened my eyes to, is it is super, super individual. Like it really, your astrology, even though everything in the sky is happening the same for all of us, it affects you different than it affects me, than it affects many of the listeners, because we are all hardwired astrologically differently. Am I speaking my words correctly? Or
well, yes.
Help me out here.
Yes. Because really, it's based on your birth chart. Everyone has a different birth chart. It's not just sun sign astrology on the day you were born.
Not what you read in the newspaper every day.
Correct. It is exactly the time you took your first breath, literally. So you have to pay attention to that, because when you take your first breath, you're inhaling the energies of the universe. It may sound weird, but for those of you who are listening to this podcast, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about, because the planets are aligned and they move every minute, every second. So when someone is born at the exact moment of time they take their first breath, that's a snapshot of the heavens, of the universe, of the sky, of the planets. And where those planets were, they'll be in your birth chart. And your houses or the divisions of your chart are based on the moment of your first breath. That's why everyone's chart is different, because their houses are located differently. It depends on the latitude, the longitude where you were born, and the time. What planets were rising in the east when you were... There's all kinds of information. But when you take the regular planets in the sky, transiting planets currently up in the heavens today, I can compare that with an individual's chart and know which aspect of their life it's affecting. And it may affect you, Sandra. Say a big beneficial planet right now is making a good luck aspect with Venus, a planet of love, and it's happening to you in your 7th house of marriage. Then it doesn't mean you're going to get married. But I do know that there's energies around partners that you may meet someone. It could be a business partner. It could also be an enemy. Partners are both. Whereas someone else, it could be happening in their 5th house of children. So maybe something's happening to their child. Their child's graduating, or they just won an award, or they're having a baby, or in their 4th house of home. Maybe they are remodeling their house, or they're changing houses, or they're moving, or it could be career. It depends. It's different for everyone. So I can look at that. And that's how it affects everyone differently. So when I say these energies were present in the sky at this perfect time for us to start, it's good for everyone, but I can tell by a person's birth chart how it's going to affect them individually and where those energies are the greatest and how to utilize those energies to their benefit, And I would have to look at your chart again, but I'm pretty sure it was affecting your career and work at this time. And I know mine was, because I just looked at mine recently. Yeah,
you started laughing and you said, "Oh my God, your house of career! Oh my!" And I was like, I just was literally overwhelmed
because I know my chart inside and out, but I don't look at it that often for transits and progressions. That's the predictive techniques I use, and that's basically based on the house or the planets in the sky transits, and you compare it with your chart and where they're located around your chart, where it's affecting, what planets, how it's interacting, if it's an easy or challenging aspect, where I need to work more on, where this is coming easy to me. I don't look at my chart that often, but after I already made the decision to write the book and to publish it at a certain time and to go through the steps, I thought, you know what? I think I'll look at my chart.
I was going to say, I know for you personally, you do that a lot. You don't look at it to look ahead, but when you have had events happen in your life, you'll look at it retrospectively and you'll go, of course. Well, look at this. I should have known.
Yeah, but I told you that.
So it's interesting that because you look at it, you use it for yourself personally very differently.
Yes, but I do have many family members and friends who call and go, "Can you look at my chart?" I'm like, well, okay. What do you want me to look at? I can look at anyone's chart. But so the gift with astrology, and when you talk with someone who knows how to look ahead, is give me a clue. What do you want to look at? Do you want to look at love? Okay, I'll run a whole bunch of charts and I'll look. Is love a theme? Is it dominant? I can see in there like, oh, it's career. Oh boy, you're going to be working on career for the next year. All these energies are, if they're repeating the same theme in different charts, because I can run multiple charts, and it's very detailed, and it's not in my super simple astrology guide because those are advanced techniques. But I can look. Or if someone calls me and says, I'm thinking of moving, or I'm thinking of starting a new job. What do you think? What does it look like for me in my chart? Can you tell me? Well, I can look at their chart and see where the energies are more prevalent, and which, let's say they have all of the energies of moving internationally. Nothing to do with work or career, but it's all about moving house, moving across seas. I will tell the person that, but I'm not going to say you have to do it. There's free will. You can do whatever you want. Just know that the chart is there to guide you, and it helps you move.
It's like extra
easier
information to make better decisions with.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to share something personal with you. I hope you don't get upset. So one of the things...
Is it about me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Should we talk about...
So one of the... Well, we talk... She's probably freaking. We talk about a lot of things.
I know. I don't know what she's bringing
That's
up.
a nice color red on you, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things... I think with astrologers and even people who go to mediums and stuff, you'll share information, and literally you're sharing what you look at. So someone may interpret it as one way because in their mind it may mean something. Mm-hmm. So I believe, and I may be wrong on my timing with this, I feel like when I left the Middle East, I think a year before you did, but somewhere towards our end of our time there, you said your chart kept showing love, and that you were going to meet the love of your life, and you were really sort of focused on this, and you were going a lot of different directions. And I think it was, 6-8 months later or something, you said, you know what, I realized I did meet the love of my life, like it's my granddaughter.
Yes.
So initially you were going down a whole different path with what that might mean and what it may look like, and when we can make a lot of assumptions about the information. So I do think it's really important not to pigeonhole and what that means, because
exactly
what you're hearing will end up being the truth, but the truth may look very different than even why you asked the question and what you thought you were looking for.
Right. And that's what a good astrologer...
That wasn't too bad of a story.
No, that was a great story, because I'm going to
well, it is true.
Elaborate just a little bit. Because an astrologer just points out where the energies are. It's up to you, the individual, to apply them how you want, or to make that interpretation. Because I know as an astrologer, what I was seeing in my chart actually was in 2016. So I was telling you a past story. She was born in 2016. But sorry, that was me. But what I was seeing in my chart was... what is typically, this is like one of the top 3 signs for meeting the love of your life, or getting married, or basically meeting the love of your life, or marriage. It's across the board, hands down. You can ask any astrologer. And I was looking at it like, what? No way. That's not going to happen. And then the time passed. I just happened to look at it randomly. The time passed, and then I think. Actually, my granddaughter was a couple years old when it dawned on me. It just, a bell went off. I looked at my chart again. Like I said, I don't look at it that often because I don't really go through changes.
Well, because we all consume your time with charts.
And it dawned on me, the exact conjunction, the time this happened, there was 2 themes on 2 different charts that were exact, was the day she was born.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that.
Yes. And then I was like, oh. She is. May not be the only love of my life, but outside of my children that, are now in their late 20s, she was the first one to come along after that. Now I have another granddaughter who's another love of my life. But honestly, up until my second granddaughter was born, she was the love of my life because my kids were already grown. I mean, I still love them to death. I mean, if you ask me, the 4 most important people in my life are my 2 children and my grandchildren. But anyway, I know. Sappy.
I'm there with you.
But
Same for me.
That honestly is a great example of how you could misinterpret.
Yeah.
So if an astrologer is literal and says, "Oh, you're going to get married. You're going to meet someone, and you may not get married now, but it could be a year or two." But see, that's not what happens. That's not what happened to me. And I had that distinct number 1, number 2 sign for marriage and meeting my love. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, it's a great story.
Makes my heart sore.
It does. And it's just, I want everyone to stay open with it and not get locked into things. So with that, let's tie it up. I know that, you're
Always
our astrologer. We've got many more conversations and information to share with people and stories to share with that. So again, I'm really excited about your new book.
Thank you.
Super Simple Astrology.
Guide. Super Simple Astrology Guide.
It's like the pressure is like, I've said this 100 times. Now that I have to repeat it, I can't get it right. I'm super excited about that. And honestly, the book cover looks super cool.
Yes.
So lots of things happening. Wild Souls, SOLUS Gathering.com is the website. And then you can always reach Penny at her email, which is wildsouleastrology@outlook.com. Look at her going, come on, you can do it. You can get it right. You can get it right.
There's a lot of, I'm Wild Soul Astrology.
Right. And I'm Wild Soul Gatherings. How do you do?
We're Wild Souls.
Yeah, that we are.
And that wasn't planned, by the way. It just, again, the universe spoke to each one of us individually. And
that was weird how it happened.
But, we're here together.
Yep, absolutely.
And it actually fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Great.
So that being said, I'm going to say to everyone, take time to embrace your wild soul.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Until next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us for this episode of Wild Souls Gatherings Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. To find out more about our guests, how to contact them, or detail on this episode, please see our show notes. You can also visit us at our website, wildsoulsgathering.com. We would love to hear from our visitors what you thought of this show, what you would like to see and hear in the future, questions you may have. You can contact us at wildsoulsgathering@gmail.com or visit us on our Facebook page, Wild Souls Gathering Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Sandra Marie, sending each of you peace and love. Until we meet again, embrace your wild soul.